Around the world, electricity demand is accelerating at a pace that few expected just several years ago. The rapid growth of AI and data centers, continued electrification, and the transition towards cleaner energy are all placing enormous pressure on power systems. At the same time, recent geopolitical events have reinforced that energy security remains just as important as decarbonization. Meeting the challenges will require unprecedented investment and planning. And today I hope to explore some of those topics. I'll start off though first with Maheep. I'd like to ask you, the big question. If you had to deploy significant capital into one part of the power system over the next 5 years, where would you put it?
Started with the easiest one first. For those who don't know, Macquarie is a large investor across infrastructure globally. We invest across renewables and digital infrastructure. So have a first row seat in terms of what's happening in the market. And one thing is very clear is that the power demand that you're seeing today is just unprecedented in terms of the scale. Over the last couple of years itself, what we have seen is a typical data center, which used to be about 30 megawatt, has now become 300 megawatt, and people are talking about multi-gigawatt single sites as well. And the rise of AI has also made it very energy intensive. A typical chatbot query, would actually require the same amount of energy that you need to light a small LED bulb for a couple of minutes, right? And a large LLM query could run a dishwasher for half an hour. And it's only going one way, right? The adoption of AI, et cetera, is only increasing. And all of this requires a lot of investment across the entire value chain, ranging from generation to storage to the grid transmission side of things. What we are seeing is, when you're doing a large data center site at the moment, you often don't have the grid infrastructure which is available, and that is one of the most critical part of where you select the site and the longest lead item as well. So often what you end up doing is actually building the substation for the utility, and these are 220 kV plus substations, right? And also building the line to their nearest substation, because the time to market is one of the biggest things that your customers are asking for, the ultimate hyperscalers, et cetera, are asking for. So that is one area where we are seeing a lot of investment, where demand is surpassing the capital availability and also the capability availability, I should say. The second area that we are seeing is because on the generation side, you cannot build large-scale fossil power plants or gas power plants or nuclear power plants in the same time cycle as the demand. Often the demand is actually met by renewables, because that is the fastest time to market and the lowest risk as well. But renewables is not firm, so you need to firm it up. So what we are also seeing is a lot of investment opportunities on the storage side. So just to sum up, I think what we see is, apart from clearly all the utility scale substation as part of the data centers that you're doing on behalf of the utilities, you also need a lot of investments on the storage side. That's what we are very bullish on.
And when you talk about being bullish on storage, what parts of the world are you seeing that demand coming from?
So unfortunately, at the moment, this part of the world hasn't really become a very, very large a place where you can find a lot of bankable projects. And that has to do with the policy framework, et cetera, is still evolving. But Australia, Japan, where you can actually play the merchant market, there is enough, the policies, et cetera, also allow for you to do that. Those are big markets. We're also seeing a lot of storage projects being done in India. But in India, standalone storage investment case still doesn't stack up because of cap on merchant tariffs. So you see them as part of fully contracted renewable plus storage projects that the government is putting out.
Okay. Thank you. And, just kind of switching gears to Audra, I want to go to you. Many projects still, though, whether it's storage, renewable, they still struggle to reach final investment decision or move beyond early development phases in this part of the world in Southeast Asia. Where are the real bottlenecks today in this region? And we talked about how there were a few bankable projects. What can you do to increase that project bankability, and what can be done to unlock this?
Yeah, I mean that's really the age-old question, isn't it? As Maheep was saying, I think over the last 2 years, I think for us as an infrastructure credit platform, we're seeing sort of the same shifts, but obviously from a slightly different perspective. There has been an explosion in the growth of demand of power, very much driven by data centers and now AI computing. And actually what we think could be a potential danger for this part of the world is that a lot of these growth in power demand is coming from developed markets. A lot of data center builds are happening in the US. Obviously, it's a very established market. It's got very deep capital markets. Investors are comfortable investing there. So I think Asia, in addition to not being able to get themselves off the ground in terms of bringing more bankable projects to the market, is actually risk losing a bit of investor interest because money is just finding better places to invest in places like the US. So that's definitely been a challenge. In terms of what some of the bottlenecks are, it's kind of always been the same issues, right? Within Asia, I think India in some ways is a real success story. Their ability to roll out their renewable generation over the last 10 years or so has been incredible. The government has come up with stated goals of achieving 500 gigawatts of renewable energy, and they're probably already halfway there. And in fact, they've been so successful that they are finding now it's things like having bottlenecks in the grid that's not allowing developers to proceed with some of these new generation capacity additions. And so in the rest of Asia, in places like Southeast Asia, on the other hand, I think what we're observing is that there isn't such a clear project pipeline that's been sort of put out by the government consistently. There's always been some U-turns in terms of policy, whether they want to keep to their FITs, whether they come back and relook at what the FIT levels are. So I think this actually sends a signal that Asia continues to be an emerging market, where there is perceived risk, there could be real risk associated with investing in this part of the world. So I think, again, it's an area where governments really need to sort of think about, policy changes to reinforce getting more capital to come back to this part of the world. Yeah.
Thank you. And going to you, Ming, we'll be talking about these bottlenecks, especially here in Southeast Asia, maybe Asia as a whole as well. What can customers do you think, those that are like data centers or power consumers, what can they do to help kind of push forward this transition?
So I'll echo a few things, right? One, I really think the opportunity in ASEAN, so I'll focus on ASEAN. The opportunity continues in ASEAN, high population growth, energy demand is there. We definitely see a lot of customers in the energy intensive industries, data centers, fabs, advanced manufacturing, wanting to plant their assets in ASEAN. Policy aside, I'll leave that as a separate discussion point. But we talk about actual practical problem statements that we need to achieve, right? The grid, and we talk about transmission today, the transmission timeline, there's a mismatch on clock, right? The transmission timeline for the grid upgrades required, has its physical constraints. You're looking at a more than 5-year timeline to get the power delivered to a customer of scale, right? You have supply chain constraints as well. From a supply chain perspective, you're talking about transformers, cables, switch gears that have a long lead time, and there's a strong demand in many countries today. Even spinning reserves, we are seeing a very long lead time in terms of gas turbines and gas engines as well, right? So this mismatch in timing, customer is ready to plant now. They can deliver their facility in 2 to 3 years' time. Are we going to be there for them? Is ASEAN going to be there for them from an energy perspective, right? Grid aside, what we at Sembcorp are doing a lot of our customers, we're finding solutions for them, right? And we're seeing three discussions and 3 types of solutions being done for customers, right? So a lot of these customers want power at scale. They want power long term. There must be a decarbonization pathway. There needs to be resiliency as well, access to multiple energy solutions, multiple fuel types and stocks, as well as a portfolio approach. Now the speed to power then becomes the next most dominant conversation we're having with them. And the three tools we see is one, how do we wheel power through the grid? So let's build a clean, firm source in another location, wheel it through the grid. Second, we're seeing, look, let's build to suit behind the meter captive solution for customer. If the site conditions are clear, we can look at the behind the meter solution. If you include a gas solution as well, then you don't need to firm using the grid. So that's one way to tackle that challenge. And the third is, and we're seeing that as a very popular discussion, we're seeing a lot of customers come to our industrial sites, right, where there's already an availability of land, power, and water and connectivity, right? We just need to upgrade, refurbish, and install additional capacity for them. So we're saying, okay, look, come over to the sites, come to where those locations are. So I'll say it's more of a, build your own energy or bring your own energy kind of concept. And this still goes alongside with the grid. Right? I'm not saying that the grid is not important. The grid is the backbone of the country, the society. All investments are you're future-proofing the system. The benefit accrue to the rest of the general economy. But the cost to upgrade, how do we deal with that? And the cost, I feel, is something that you can tackle by having a bring your own energy solution alongside the grid upgrades. And then you're better able to fairly distribute the cost among the high energy users versus the sort of general population.
That makes a lot of sense and very well explained. Thank you. I do want to just hit on one other thing that you mentioned, which was supply chains. You're talking about gas turbines in particular. If we're talking about securing power at scale, oftentimes data centers look at gas-fired power that they need to secure to make sure that their data centers are fueled. What is, there's been an enormous order book of gas turbines from the U.S., Middle East, and other places. What's the lead time right now for getting a gas turbine?
So we're constructing a 2.6 gigawatt power plant now in UAE, and that's many turbines. The reservation order that was done was quite a while back, right? 18 months ago. Today, if you want to order a turbine, the delivery date, you're looking at about 3 years out for a GT delivery to come on site. So the timelines are now moving forward. I think if ASEAN wants to capture the demand, we have a window. We need to do it now. We need to be forward-looking in terms of debottlenecking the supply chain, ordering the longest lead item now first. So that's the way I'll go about doing it.
Thank you. And Audra, I just want to go to you on the grid. Ming had a lot of interesting comments about working together, doing things behind the grid, but also working concurrently as the grid develops. And here in Southeast Asia, there is no connected grid, or at least it's very minimal connections. How important is it, if we're talking about securing energy for the future for decades, how important is an interconnected grid, one, and two, is it even possible?
Wow. I think that would be an absolute dream for us to have an interconnected grid within ASEAN or within the wider Asia as well. It has been extremely challenging. I think for people who are in the business, we know that we've been talking about this for years. It's very challenging because every country has their own domestic power requirements to fulfill. And in the age of, trying to build out capacity for all these data centers, that has actually probably made the whole issue even more acute. We were just talking before this panel session that yes, we've got no land in Singapore. We've got we don't have access to a lot of renewable power sources. So in order for us to access cleaner energy, we do need to rely on our neighbors, and then in turn we need to build out this grid. But guess what? Our neighbors themselves are also facing an increase in demand for the exact same type of power, right? Because everybody wants clean power. So I think having this energy grid involves so many different issues. They are not easy to solve. There's a lot of competing demands from the different governments. Should we have it? Absolutely yes, because it's going to increase resilience. It's going to enable the supply, because demand centers are not where supply centers are. So you need that to make that interconnection happen. But I still think it's so sorry I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news today, but it's such an intractable problem, I feel. Yeah.
But I mean I feel like Singapore's approach to it
Yeah.
At least at the very beginning, makes sense, right? They're looking at signing some government to government agreements and pushing forward with some there. Does that seem like at least the beginning of an approach, the foundation that could build into something larger, or do we need all of these governments to kind of work together more?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think we've looked at this issue from many angles. I mean, the way Singapore approached it is just to say that, look, let the market come back with proposals to supply clean energy to Singapore. We do it on a project-by-project basis. It does mean that every project needs to think about what that transmission looks like. And perhaps over time, with multiple projects, we can sort of string all these together. And then lo and behold, we have an interconnected grid. Even that has been actually a little bit of a challenge for the reasons that I've stated, because if you want to build, let's say, green power in some part of Indonesia to export it, then obviously how do you fulfill local demand? Is it at the expense of local demand? Can you do it in conjunction with also rolling out additional clean energy for the country itself? And I think there are also people who say that we need to have a system-wide approach. Let's talk about sort of the grid code. Let's talk about sort of how we manage this together. Let's talk about how we make sure that every grid in each country are in the position where they're ready to talk to each other. I think that could be another way to do it. That's very technical, beyond my area of expertise. But so far, I think it's been mainly more discussions than anything else. If you were to ask me, I quite like the approach that Singapore has taken so far. It seems a little bit more pragmatic, addressing the problem, I guess, in some ways, in a more modular manner. If we can get even like one of these projects off the ground, then maybe there is a template for others to follow. Yeah.
Thank you. Kind of shifting gears, Maheep, I wanted to talk to you about something a bit more recent. Leading Bloomberg's energy coverage here in Asia, the big topic since the end of February has been the war in Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which has resulted in energy shocks across the region. I'm just curious, I speak with a lot of energy traders, buyers, and producers, and they say that there is a shift happening within the region in terms of how they look at renewable energy and how they look at securing power as well. From your perch, looking at energy and infrastructure investment at Macquarie, have you seen a shift in the industry internally since the Hormuz closure several months back?
Yeah. It's a very good question. So I think there has been a big step change. And when you look at most of the countries in this region, they are heavily dependent on imported oil, right? And not only is the economics of oil, but also the supply of oil, right? That has been a big constraint. What we have seen is across the board, you're seeing a lot of electrification. Not only the industrial electrification, but also in terms of the electric and transport side of things, electric mobility and transport side of things. And that is giving a lot of momentum to the power demand on the grid side as well. So apart from what you're seeing on the data centers and AI that we talked about, which is the most visible one, the electrification of transport is the other big driver. For instance, I mean, if you look at a country such as India, right, that was a very, very big problem. India nearly spends about 200 billion of its dollars on oil imports, right? And because of this crisis, suddenly that became very, very visible. The e-mobility penetration, e-car penetration in the country went from effectively from January to June, doubled, right, as a result. Similar type of dynamics is happening, in this part of the world as well. The other thing that we also saw as a result of this war is a lot of hyperscalers. They were looking towards setting up data centers in the Middle East because you have, a lot of government incentives, cheaper power, a lot of land, etc. But because of the crisis, suddenly the geopolitical side of things, became very, very real concern for them. So we are seeing a lot of the hyperscalers actually shifting towards Asia Pacific, Australia and India, namely as the two big markets where they can find a lot of access to power, cheaper renewables, and in the case of India, for instance, the build cost of data centers and the land availability, etc., is also very readily available. So as a result, you're kind of seeing across the entire region a lot of demand drivers, which were growing, but it has just taken a step up as a result of the war.
Thank you. And I kind of have a related question to Ming here as well. I mean, since the crisis, you've seen liquefied natural gas prices surge to the highest level since 2022. Yep. In Vietnam, famously, there was one project that is considering switching from LNG-fired power to renewables and batteries because they thought that would make potentially more economic sense. From your perch at Sembcorp, are you seeing a shift, or at least a mood shift, away from gas and LNG-fired generation? Or do you think that the industry doesn't look at these sorts of crises like that? They look more long-term?
No, they definitely look at it. They do. The energy cost is very high. I mean, if we talk about ASEAN, I talk about Asia, right? We don't have access to very economical gas like in the US, for example. Right, so the energy cost is very high to do gas fire to a large extent, which is why also we look at a lot of upgrade on efficiency of the machines. We also see that the role of the gas fired generation playing a slightly different role going forward. Right, it's going to be base load now to keep up with the electrification demands and the demands from energy players, but as the more and more alternative solutions come into the market, into the system, then we'll see that the gas fire plays more of a flexible generation framework, right? So as we design our power plants, we're designing it for both a base load running as well as a load shifting and a peaking type play as well. So we're seeing that it continues to play a critical anchor in the power genset system. It's got the spinning reserves as well, which keep the momentum up in the grid, right? But I think I want to take one point here, which is that on the ASEAN power grid, I just want to remind everyone, ASEAN is competing. We're competing in Australia, we're competing in India. We do need to get it going. And I think largely it helps to drive economic activity. I think the question about where the industrial activity should go, I think we keep forgetting. We think that we're competing against each other in the market, but as we build out further in ASEAN market, the supply chain will grow. The economic value will accrete. Right, and I do think that there is, from my perspective, as we work on many of these import power projects in Singapore, I do see a lot more coordination and sort of passion from the leaders, political leaders in every country in ASEAN to try and push this forward. So, not as negative, but I want to give it a bit of rah-rah and a bit of hope here that look, it can be done.
Yeah, I do think that's absolutely right, because I think that every country does not need to own everything. Right. So I think even in this current environment where people are sort of insourcing a lot more instead of offshoring, there is scope for greater cooperation within ASEAN. So I do hope that, your vision of the future is the right one.
So very, very positive tone. You're the only person who hasn't talked about the super grid yet. Do you have anything to add?
I think Audra covered everything. My only advice would be, just get one done. Right?
Yeah.
And then everything else will follow. So,
good point.
It's like everything all at once. What's the title of that movie? Because it's like people are trying to invest to fulfill all this new demand. Some people are still trying to decarbonize. I mean, we are also trying to make an effort to decarbonize by encouraging sort of greater rollout of batteries through blended financing solution. So I think it's really a little bit of everything all at once. Energy security, greater AI demand, climate, and because of all of that, I think the power sector still remains, a hotbed of activity.
And that's a good way to. I see we're running out of time now, but I think that's a good way to look at that. It is a hotbed of activity when you're looking at securing power at scale. So thank you all for joining me today here on stage. And can I get a round of applause for the panelists here?